Tell me what the hell are you scared of when in the end the only thing
Where's
that's
the
up
love? Right here on
love's
this
in your
podcast.
hand.
Welcome to
To
Love
love
Drops,
drops,
where your
never
host
the things
and
that
One Love
don't
ambassadors,
never the
Charles
things
and
that don't
Diane,
last.
will
Never the
share love,
promise you when it's
hope,
too late
and
to taste the
inspirational
sweetness of love's
topics
life.
taken from
All of
their
the things
journey
to
and
watch
world
out. All of
events.
the
We
challenges
will
of
also
life.
include on location recordings and special pop up guests from cool
Never the
places
biggest one.
all
All
around the
around the
world.
world. Never,
So sit
never
back, relax, and
and
enjoy the
enjoy
show.
the show. Whether big or small, love never fails. Oh, love it conquers all. Love never fails.
Welcome to another episode of the Love Drop Podcast. I am so excited to be recording on location in Chattanooga, Tennessee, here at the Chalet Hotel at the Choo Choo area of Chattanooga. Our guest today is no stranger to the Love Drop Podcast, and I will turn it over to you, Charles, and you can bring our guests on.
Thank you, Diane. And our special guest today, Sally, is no stranger to the podcast. And Sally and Diane, they're going to talk about some of the things that we deal with in our midlife situations, not crises, but situations. And seeing as though the ladies will have a lot more to talk about that than myself as a man, I will turn the podcast over to Diane and Sally. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you. Thank you. And with that said, Sally, I'm going to bring you up to the mic and you can introduce yourself to our listeners. Tell them a little bit about Sally and, where you're at in the world. And let's go, Sally.
Thank you so much, Charles and Diane, for inviting me back again. I love your podcast. Of course, the name Love Drops has always been one of the things that I embrace as well. And so today, it's really exciting for me to be here because, as you know, I've kind of done a shift lately, but I'll tell people a little bit about who I am first and maybe a bit about how we met.
Yeah,
Because I
that'd be
think
great.
meeting stories are always exciting. And so my name is Sally Arkell Boles, and I have grown up in Ontario, Canada, and lived all across the country in different cities, traveling quite a bit, especially, well, pretty well for the last 20 years or more, relocating all over the place. I come from a business background of really being a leader in different types of organizations and being able to shift from whole different industries from one to another. I started out in the fashion industry where I had studied, became quite successful as a fashion buyer and designer for different clothing lines. And then I shifted over to something that was completely out of my comfort zone or where I thought I would be. And that was in technical support. And I worked my way up quite quickly to be the director of a team of over 1,600 people. And so we were doing customer service for people for their technology. And it was a really exciting environment for me to be able to have that experience to manage such a large team, have a team of 10 senior leaders that I was working with. But I didn't start there when I was in that company. I came in as just a junior manager and then I moved up. But I just loved the excitement, the vibration, the 24/7 work that we were doing, and the team that we got to develop and to see them thrive. And then from there, because of our moves that we were doing across the country following my husband's career, I had to shift again. And in that shift, what I did was looked at other industries on where I could bring my skill sets. And I ended up in the financial services industry. And again, moved up quite quickly within that organization to become a managing partner at one of the top branches in the country. And it was very exciting because it was working with entrepreneurs. And so that's where my love for entrepreneurial work became, because I was actually in that position, 100% commission based off of the performance of the team and how our team performed. And it was all on my shoulders for me to be able to create my income. And so I learned how to coach and mentor entrepreneurs to success and how to find new ones to bring into the business to recruit people in. So my background has been very much in the corporate world. But there came a time about 5 years ago that I just wasn't feeling the love anymore. I wasn't feeling that this was the place that I needed to be. And so I needed to make a shift. And it was scary. Holy moly, it was scary. It was probably the scariest thing I did because I had a very healthy income. Let's put it that way. A very healthy income and I was building a pension, but I knew that it wasn't feeling like I was being valued anymore. So I needed to make a shift. And that shift was to ask for permission to leave the company and ask for a package.
Wow,
And that
Sally.
was very bold of me. I've never ever asked for a package before. And it was granted. And it was granted to give me a whole year's worth of income and then to start taking my pension before I was entitled to it because it was fairly for them. The age that I was saying, oh, yeah, you need to take it now. And I'm like, win-win.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, why I'm saying all this right now to introduce myself is because when I made that shift, I really wanted to do something that I believed in would really serve women in a way that was going to be very impactful for them to create the life that they chose on their terms.
Wow.
And that's, why I wanted to bring up my bio that way, the story that way, because I shifted a lot in my career. I didn't just stay in one career for the rest of my life. I shifted and I did big shifts, but each time I was able to replicate and grow even more so in that environment. And now I get to actually work with women and helping them in all different facets of their business or their life. And hence, I've now created, and we're going to go a bit further into it, podcasts and blogs and a whole business around being limitless in midlife. Because my biggest shifts happened in midlife. And I just see so many women struggling and staying small, playing small, staying in that fear and not moving forward. So I have just like expanded my whole reach to exactly what I think women are really looking for in midlife.
Wow, Sally. Wow. That was amazing. And as I listened to you introduce yourself, man, talk about experience to back up the mission.
Mhm.
So, what you are doing comes from the extensive experience that you have had in life. It allows you to reach women in all sorts of industries, right? It allows you to reach that high level, high achieving women with the healthy income. I like that. I like healthy income. Yes. And as well as the woman that is out there making bold moves, pivoting into some scary, unknown places. And so, as you were speaking, I said, yes, Sally is definitely a seasoned guide. If you're going to have a guide to take you somewhere scary, you want a seasoned guide. You don't want someone who's just starting or just learning right alongside of you if you're going into really scary places. You want
Mhm.
someone who's been there, done that, got the t-shirt.
Got a
So
few of those.
right, right. And it's very interesting because we met in that space. You were in that space, and you and we met in that space of transition. And it's only been a couple of years, but it seems so much longer because between the two of us, we have really done some shifting and
Mhm.
elevating
Right.
that you was just like with every shift, you're doing more. It's an improvement. So when you said that, I was like, like a elevating shift. So
Right.
you are shifting, but you're going higher with each shift, even if it's in a different direction, but it's a different direction up.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So you were telling us about the podcast. I'd like to start there because that is where we are currently.
Mhm.
And I promise we'll get that story of how we met in here. We will get in the podcast. We'll get in this episode. So give us a little backstory on your newly released podcast. How did that come about?
Well, you know me well, and yours might not, but I'm pretty intuitive. Well, I'm very intuitive. I've been intuitive, and I think that's been one of the gifts that I've had throughout my life to bring forward in every business and all the coaching that I've done throughout the years with my teams, because I'm able to tap into something that allows me to see exactly what's going on behind the scenes within somebody and be able to coach them appropriately. And so as I was going through my first 4 or 5 years in business, I was really, what's my niche? What's my niche? How can I fine tune it? How can I help people? That kind of thing. And what I've discovered in just working with a lot of different women is that in midlife, we almost think that we don't have the opportunity to change. And
Right.
if we do, we're fearful or we're worried, or we're feeling that we might be judged. We're feeling alone in our decision making. And so a lot of the people that I've worked with have come to me because they've been in their job for a long time and they don't know what's next. They don't really enjoy it anymore. Or they might be saying, I'm divorced now, I'm in my 50s. I don't know how I'm going to survive as the years go on, but I can't afford to leave my job. Or they might be saying, I really am not in a happy relationship and I need to shift, but how do I do that? And they sit in that fear. And then they've gone through the stages typically where they've raised their kids or they have kids at home still. But then as we get a little bit further along the line, then we end up starting to caregive for our parents. And what we've done our whole life is put everybody else first before us as
Yes.
women. And that to me really allowed me to open up the doors for myself when I recognized that my worth was not being valued in the workplace. And it completely shifted how I approached my value to get paid that year's income, right? In addition to whatever else the company was giving me. But to be able to have the confidence to say, you know what, I'm not going to try to fit into that bubble that they're trying to force me into when I don't feel like they're even seeing the value that I bring forward. So it's when I shifted from the fear of what's going to happen if I don't stay in my career to, you know what? I'm worth more.
Yes.
I am
Yes.
worth more. And so
Yes.
I'm going to take control. And I can tell you the shift that happened, and it was just overnight. It happened overnight. That one phone call I made to my VP to resign and ask for what I wanted was the most amazing feeling I've ever had because I took control of me and my thoughts. My inner being was telling me, this is right for you, Sally. You need to take this step forward and own who you are in your power and forget about all the fears, the worries, and the doubts because I will take care of you.
Wow. That is so amazing and so on point, Sally. I want to circle back to where you spoke of us women in midlife, how we put everybody ahead of us. It may be the
Absolutely.
children, it may be the spouse, it may be the grandkids, it may be just fill in the blank. It may be the job, just everybody on the job. We
Yeah.
have a nurturing component, and it's not
Mhm.
across the board. I mean, we're unique. So there's some women that maybe this is not true for you, but for many it is. And in that
Mhm.
nurturing component, on that list of priorities, we always find ourselves closer to the bottom of that list
Mhm.
instead of the top. And what
Yeah.
I know just from our most recent trip to Paris is I know that I need to love myself first, just like that
Yeah.
airline announcement. And then, and only then, can I really radiate and love fully everyone else around
Mhm.
me. I can love without, being frustrated. I can love without feeling that I'm settling. I can love true. I can
Hmm.
love true.
Yes.
I can love true and not feel like it's obligation. I
Hmm.
have an obligation
Yes.
because you are fill in the blank or because this is fill in the blank. So
Hmm.
that is such a strong point. And again, you have so much experience behind you, right? Mom says to me that your gifts will make room for you. And I feel like
Hmm.
all the gifts of your experience has made room for you to now create this platform
Hmm.
where you can share with women all around the world. So tell us about your podcast. Give us your name and tell us about it.
Yeah, the name of the podcast is Limitless and Midlife, and right now it's on YouTube and Spotify. So you can either watch it or you can listen to it. And it's really designed about, I think I'm going to use one of the words that you used at the beginning. We often hear about midlife crisis. I call it midlife expansion because this is when you actually get to step forward. It's not a crisis, it's just a shift. It's a shift in your mindset, it's a shift in your viewpoint. And when we go back to the people pleasing piece of it, which is what we're saying, when we're trying to do everything for everybody else, we're people pleasing as opposed to putting ourselves first. And so in this podcast, what I'm doing is bringing forward the things that are going to help you to have that expansion, to be able to start to create your life on your terms, and also to bring forward the love that you have inside and the joy that you're wanting to experience and the connections that you've lost over the years that you want to reconnect with. And I think that's one of the things that you and Charles do extremely well is you're connecting people that are like-minded, like-aged, and you're building this a massive audience of people and friendships all over the world. So now when you go to, like we are both in Portugal, just missed each other, didn't we? A week or so,
Yes.
and we could have actually met in person. And how fun is that? Because we've built such a great relationship just through an online platform. That was never available to us before. It was pen pals when we were growing up.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
But
Yes.
I think, as women, because we're doing wearing all these hats, we get tired in mid-age. We're tired. We're saying yes to everybody, to things like the girlfriends might want to go out and do something after you've worked all day and looked after the parents and the kids and da da da. Da. And now you don't even want to go out, but you're saying yes because you feel obligated. We don't have to feel obligated anymore.
No.
Now it's the time for us to choose what we get to do, when we get to do it, and how we get to do it. And I will absolutely tell you the experience in my life is it's brought me so much more joy, ease, and flow that I get to make those choices. And I never have a bad day because of that, because I keep myself in the flow, in the gratitude, in the joy of what I get to do each day, because I make decisions based off of my choices on
Yeah.
what I want to do when.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. We get to, we
Mhm.
get to. And that was one of the phrases that I heard first from you with intentionality. Not to say I never heard it before, but with intentionality. You had some affirmations that you shared with me a few years back, and
Yes.
I still have them. I actually looked at them last night and said them. And it is just, it's amazing because what we feed our soul is what will
Mhm.
grow. So, whatever it is, if it's toxic, if it's negativity, that's what is going to grow.
Mhm.
What we feed our soul is what is going to grow.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't ensure that you won't have challenges, but
Mhm.
it will help you to navigate through those
Absolutely.
challenges in a much more productive way, right? Without
Absolutely.
blowing a gasket, right?
Mhm.
I also like the part where you said we're tired. And that is so true. When you get to, I'll be 60 years old on my next birthday,
Mhm.
and I'm excited about it. I'm
Exciting.
not saying I'll be 60 years young. I'm not trying to put a spin on 60 is 60. 60 cycles around the sun is what I'll get on my next birthday, you know, That's what I'm looking forward to, but I'm living in the now. So
Yeah.
instead of just that destination, I'm living in the now. So
Mhm.
I turned 59 in Paris, and I will turn 60 somewhere fabulous if I'm still here and shining on this
You will.
side. And here's the thing. I'm tired of being tired.
Mhm.
So I'm taking control of my
Yes.
energy, right? And
Mhm.
so what am I doing? I am mindful and intentional about who I'm letting in my space and my sphere.
Right.
Because sometimes we are tired, not even from our own doing. We're tired because we're allowing so many to just put straws in us and just suck
Oh, good analogy.
out our energy, right?
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, I'm turning into a no straw zone.
That's, and that's the thing. I think we do get so, like, I know when I was in that corporate career where I was wanting to leave, I didn't have my son till I was 40. And it was a time when, I took a couple years off at the beginning with him, but then I went back to this corporate job, the one that was in the technical contact center. And I was working long hours, but I was raising the son. Kevin was working like he was in town, but he was working a 3 hour drive away every day and long days. And so a lot fell onto me, and it continued in other jobs as well. But what I found was you end up as a woman just taking charge,
Mm-hmm.
doing all the things, taking that responsibility. And my husband ended up working overseas quite a bit as well, and by the time we had houses with pools and all that other kind of stuff and a big corporate career and a son you're trying to put through college or university or even high school, there was so much on my plate, but I just did it
Yeah.
until I recognized one Christmas I had pushed myself so far to hold the corporate numbers together. I was working around the clock the whole December. My husband was out of town. My son and I flew to where he was for Christmas, and I got so freaking sick because I
Mm-hmm.
had just pushed myself too far for everybody else and didn't take care of myself. And that was a huge aha moment for me to say, I am not going to do this anymore. I am not going to overextend myself for the company. I was working till 10 o'clock at night, out on appointments with my team because I was helping them get their sales, helping them get started in their business, etc., which I love to do, but it took a toll on my health. And that's when I recognized this is not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
This is not worth it. I'm going above and beyond to do this to help all these other people, but I'm not serving myself.
Absolutely.
And, I hear a lot about women that are doing the same thing and feeling
Yes.
like they have to do that. And the reason I use get to is because I found that when we say, even I'm just going to use our to-do list that we do every day when we get to work. We have a to-do list typically. I got to get this done, this done, this done. Or we might even have a to-do list for our kids every morning, right? As soon as you have a to-do, you're giving yourself a command.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody likes to be commanded to do something.
Mm-hmm.
When you say, I get to, it can be the same activities, but I get to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Bring a whole different energy, a permission that you're giving yourself that it's okay to get this done. And if you
Yeah.
don't get it all done, you just move it to the next day.
Just move it to the next day.
Right?
Exactly.
And so
Just
that's why I use that get to versus, the push, because I want to be able to have choices in my life.
right.
And I want women to have that choice on where they're spending their time and how they're showing up.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And so we're talking about unlimited in midlife, right? Or
Mhm.
limitless. With that, limitless, we do have to have some boundaries, and those boundaries are around our personal space,
Mhm.
our
Yes.
personal time, and placing those boundaries in that limitless
Mhm.
scenario, right? We have to honor our boundaries. And that is what I have learned in
Mm.
life is that we must honor our boundaries, and it's
Yep.
our responsibility. It's no one else's. So if someone is not respecting your boundaries, it is not up to them to rectify it. That is now on you. You have
Mhm.
to make a choice. And
Yes.
that choice is this. Am I going to protect my boundaries or not, period, point blank. There
Mm-hmm.
is no gray area in there. You can be flexible with your boundaries, but am I going to protect my boundaries or not?
Mm-hmm.
And when we don't protect our boundaries, then we find ourselves burnt out. We find ourselves
Right.
at that place where we're not feeling well because our bodies have a way of getting our attention. And when we keep running through the red flags,
Mm-hmm.
then we find ourselves on our back,
Mm-hmm.
not
Yep.
feeling very well because it's going to get our attention one way or the other. It will
Mm-hmm.
be either a little tap, a nudge, or a knockout.
Yeah.
So, you know, boundaries. And so, again, we are responsible for protecting our own boundaries. And
Mm-hmm.
when we do that, Sally, that also allows us to not be so tired because we know that every ringing phone doesn't have to be answered.
Mm-hmm.
Every schedule list of appointments don't have to be followed. Some days we have to look at our list and say, you know what? I'm overwhelmed just looking at this list. Let
Mm-hmm.
me sit with this and see what I can move around, what I can reschedule. Some things just need to be flat out canceled because it's just not a priority in that season. And we need to give ourselves grace and permission
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do that. Because in an unlimited midlife scenario, we get to create the life that we want to live that feels good
Exactly.
to us.
Mm-hmm. And I see that also in yourself and Charles with making the different choices that you're making. And my husband and I have made very similar choices to how you and Charles are choosing to live, which is outside of the norm of what people in our generation would think is, oh my gosh, why would you do that? Right? So I don't know if you want to explore that right now, but it certainly is something that has made a big shift for me over the last 4 or 5 years as well, is not worrying about being judged by others, what other people's opinions are on how I should live my life, where I should live my life, the things I should own, the things I should be doing. And that has made a huge shift for me as well in actually owning my story,
Yes,
my
I love that.
journey. Right?
Yes.
Part of that, what we're talking about the boundaries is letting people have their opinions, but not holding them as guiding me to do what they think I should do based off of their boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that a lot in middle-aged women.
Oh, yeah. The
And
expectations.
mhm, right. And even in their relationships, it becomes so bound by these boundaries and the roles that they've played within the relationship. But as we age, as we go through these different motions of marriage, children, divorce, remarriage, everything else that can happen for us, and looking after parents, we start to create new boundaries around different things, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't know how to shift as we age. And all of a sudden, we become an empty nester. And now, who's this partner I'm with, and do I really enjoy being with them? And how can we not just divorce or leave them? In some
Right.
cases, it might be what you choose to do, and that's perfectly fine. But at other times, it may be something that you can say, you know what? We need to sit down and talk about how we're going to create this relationship to be even better now that it's just the two of us at home.
Right.
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 And that's a big element. I'm seeing so many women, especially in their 50s, that are like, kids have gone and we spent all our time making the kids healthy and happy and building up them. But we haven't done that for ourselves or in our relationship. And we've lost that connection. We're just partners in the relationship, but we're not true partners
Yes, I
anymore.
love that. I love that. And it just takes me to what Charles has been saying a lot lately. He's like, babe, it's you and me. It's you and me. And that rings so differently every single day. But what it rings the loudest is we create the life that we
Mhm.
want to live. It does not matter if our kids are on board. It does not matter if parents, siblings, friends. No one has to be on board with what we create for us. Why
Yes.
don't you guys settle down and get a house and just get stable? Because
Yeah.
that is how your story looks. That's not my
Hmm.
story. Why don't you guys get an RV and just drive around like that? Because that is how your story looks. That's not my story. I've
Right.
learned to say thank you, smile, and drop it.
Hmm.
Just totally drop it. I don't, so many things I don't even hold on to. I'm like, thank you very much for sharing. But, that's not my
Hmm.
reality.
Yeah.
And talking about tiredness and energy, when we use our energy, our frequencies, our light to
Yeah.
try to explain
Hmm.
people that just have not the understanding of what we're doing, because maybe their understanding is inside the box and what we're doing is outside the box, so the frequencies doesn't line up.
Hmm.
So when we are just steady trying to explain what we're doing and trying to get people to understand, all we're doing is exerting energy that's just dropping. I need my energy. My energy is my fuel
Hmm.
to help
Yes.
me to take these leaps, to help me to live in the moment, to help me to elevate, right? And
Hmm.
raise frequencies, to help me to shine. So trying to explain it to someone that either doesn't understand, does not want to understand, or sometimes people are just confrontational.
Hmm.
You have people that will try to find a reason to just be confrontational with you. You don't have to do anything.
Hmm.
And it's just like, but I want to target you. I want to, throw my darts at you. So we have the opportunity and choice, and we get to let
Hmm.
those things just slide off and keep shining ahead and
Right.
just keep shining
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. And I think people's limiting beliefs about how someone should live their life are their limiting beliefs on how they choose to run their life. And they don't have to apply to others. And, I'm going to talk about the younger generation right now just for a second, because I'm seeing so many young couples or singles choosing to work abroad because they can work online for a company and be digital nomads. And I think you and I have both become digital nomads as well
Yes,
at this
yes.
stage. And it's hard for people in our generation that were taught buy the house, stay in the house, raise the kids, have a steady job for your whole career, and then, go into retirement and enjoy that. And nothing wrong with that. That's their choice. That's what they've chosen to do. But some of us are looking to create more in our lives that would fill our cup. That may perfectly fill that other person's cup to be in that community, have that house, have the family around close by, everything else, be in the same town that they grew up in. That's fine. My goals are different because
Yeah.
I know that this time on earth is only limited and I want to experience as much of it as I can. And
Mhm.
as we get older, we typically have the ability to have less things that we have to hold on to. And I know you and I are
Mhm.
both good at purging
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
our houses,
yeah.
and moving to wherever I want to be at that particular point in time and have the freedom and the flexibility to do that.
Hmm.
And so, just to bring context to that, my husband and I, while we were raising our son, we still moved around quite a bit. But we'd go to a city, but wherever his work was, I'd find a job there, or I'd have my career in one of the cities, and then we would shift because of his career. And so, as we got to high school with our son, he had been moved around a lot. Let's put it that way, as a child. And so we determined that we would stay in one town through his high school years, because to me, those are the years that are really you know, setting them up for that future. So we did that, but we had to sacrifice because Kevin was working outside of the country most of that time. I was the stability at home. I was the one that was raising our son for the most part. In doing that, it allowed us to say, after Jason had left to go to university, what's our option now? I'm working here, you're working there, Jason's in a different city, we're all living in three different places, and we're a family of three.
Wow.
Right? Is this really working for us? And that's when Kevin and I made the decision to say, you know what? That's when part of my decision around moving outside of my career as well, where I was stagnant in one area, like I was having to stay in a certain location to be employed. And I said, you know what? It's time for us to travel together
Yes.
because it just doesn't make sense to me to have three people in the family. We're all living in different cities.
Right.
And so we made a choice for me to find a different way to earn my income, but be with him wherever he was. And we ended up selling our house. We haven't had a home for 5 years. And people in
Mm.
midlife would say, oh my God, what are you doing? This suits us because his contracts that he gets take him all over the world. And
Yes.
so now, because I've chosen to do the work that I do, and I do work from home, wherever home might be at that moment.
Ah, home is where the heart is what
Yeah.
I truly believe. And wherever we are, that is where
Hmm.
home, we bring our home to the spaces and not the other way around,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And I feel like we are allowing, Charles and I, our grandkids to see an alternative way. It's
Hmm.
like as you plan forward, you don't have to say, well, where am I going to settle? I don't
Right.
even like that word settle. I'm not a settler, right? And so maybe that's why I haven't settled. But it's interesting. And another big thing in living limitless in midlife is coming to the place where you know that what you need, you will attract. You don't have to
Right.
chase it
Mm-mm.
down.
No.
And with that, as we're kind of just like winding, I promised that we would get to our story of meeting. That kind of reflects on how you and I met because we were both
Hmm.
in similar
Yeah.
places in life as
Yeah.
far as like transition. I think at the time I was already out there doing it. You were still kind of settled, but I feel like we were divinely connected because what you and Kevin were about to embark on, you had already been traveling, but you're about to do it differently,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And Charles and I were already doing that. So
Mm.
as you heard the people in one ear saying, what the heck are you doing? Have you lost your mind? That makes no sense. Oh my God, so irresponsible. What are you guys doing? Then you see in front of you or beside you or in the other ear, Charles and I, we're doing it and we're here and we're here. And it's just like, it absolutely makes sense.
Yeah.
You maybe don't get it, but we're not the only ones out here doing it. There are other
Mhm.
people that are out here doing it. And to think we both attended the More Joy group with Cindy Cohen. Hey, Cindy, what's
Hi,
going
Cindy.
on? Yeah, so we were both in that group, and the synchronicity in
Hmm.
that is we both came on the same day for the first time.
Hmm.
And then it's like we connected
Yeah.
and we've stayed connected and we have just shined together in so many spaces. It's like ours is a relationship where we simply do call each other into rooms. If I go into any room and I'm like, Sally would shine really brightly in here. This is a good place for Sally.
Hmm.
Then I'm Sally here, and I'm introducing you. Same thing. Some of the most amazing people that are in my life and circle now are as a result of just
Hmm.
you calling me into rooms. One in particular is Nicole Peterhands. I
Okay.
simply adore Nicole. Nicole is just another bright light. And that's what it's about in this
Yes.
limitless space of women of a particular age, that sexy midlife age. Put that on there. Take that grandmotherly daughter tea, sit and knit. Take that off. I mean, when you
Exactly.
look around, even this morning, I saw on the television, it was a older woman, I think she was 102, and they're the Nana Dancing Club. And she's
Nice.
102, and she was just
Yeah.
down, just line dancing. People are changing the narrative about growing older.
Yes.
You know, they're
Yes.
changing the narrative. It's just like put that walker down and start walking. You know,
Mhm.
start riding the bike, learn something new, get out of your comfort zone, do something that scares you, do something that
Excites you at the same time.
and excites you at the same time. Yes,
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 yes, yes.
yes, and attract. That
Yep.
that's the big thing. We get to attract
Hmm.
the
The
people
opportunities, the
and
people.
opportunities that are going to expand us in this
Mm-hmm.
limitless
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, one of the things that I would like to add to that as well is, when we're really thinking about how we would love our life to look, one thing that I find as people start to age is they don't even want to celebrate their birthdays because oh, I'm getting old, or they say, oh, I'm old now, or I'm old now. You're only as old as you choose to feel.
Yes.
And having come from life insurance industry and finance, I just have a newer appreciation, and I'm sure the same's for you being in the nursing field. I am so blessed for every moment that I get to walk on this planet Earth
Yeah. Yeah.
because there's so many people that never made it to the age that I did.
Mm-hmm.
How did I get to be the chosen one that made it this far and
Yeah.
continues to make it further? So whenever I have a birthday, I celebrate. And it just really saddens me when I hear people calling themselves older. No, I don't celebrate my birthday. Why not? You are so blessed every single day to be on this planet and
Oh
have
yeah.
this opportunity to experience another day. Right now, listening to the birds as they're coming out in the spring and seeing the new flowers pop up and all of those things that just bring you joy as gratitude towards your life. And so, as we're getting into this midlife, it is not a crisis. It is an opportunity to expand, to enjoy, to see what else. What are the things you stopped yourself and prevented yourself from doing because you didn't think you could? Well, now you can give yourself that permission and you can create it however you choose to create it, whatever that looks like for you. But make sure you're true to yourself and embracing who you are and the gratitude you have for this day and the next day and the next day and the next day. And just like the lady you were talking about, that's 102 and dancing away. Good for her.
Yes, I'm saying, and I totally agree with you on that. It is totally like good for her because
Mhm.
like she is choosing, she's making a choice, and that is crucial. That is so
Yeah.
crucial. And that crucial point is making the choice. You know, we
Yes.
all get to make a choice. We get to make a
Mhm.
choice on whether we are going to stay active and live life
Yes.
or whether we're going to just exist. Whether we're
Mm.
going to just exist.
Yeah.
I'm just here. I celebrate my birthdays. I'm telling, like I said, I was in Paris, France this
Yeah.
year, my birthday. Last year, I think I was in Miramar Beach, Florida. I mean, I celebrate my birthdays. They're huge to
Yes.
me. That is a time that I genuinely get to celebrate me.
Mhm.
I celebrate me. For my 60th, I look ahead and I just take this journey. And if it is for me to be here for that, then I plan to do something, just really extravagant to celebrate that. I want to do like
Mhm.
a river cruise, but I'm gonna just speak it out. I want to get to take a Ritz-Carlton river cruise and like
Nice.
it's like 10 days and just be out there and enjoy and celebrate me.
Mhm.
I thought about like a party, and honestly, a lot of times when we throw these big extravagant parties, in my opinion, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's for us, but then it's for everyone else too, because it's like, oh, I want to make sure this is right and this is right and this. So I said, as a recovering people pleaser, I'm going to please myself. I don't want a big old party because that's more responsibility. I want to be able to just focus on what am I wearing, and I want everything taken care of, and I don't want to have to think about it. I want that to be someone else's job to do. And all I do is step into extravagance, right? Maybe have
Yes.
Diana Ross's song I'm Coming Out and just walk on.
I can see you boogie.
Yeah, and just walk into the room and then just open it up to others. And, if
Yeah.
someone wants to join, then that is cool. Come on. But if you
Mhm.
don't, guess what? I'm still coming out.
Yeah.
I'm still going to celebrate me. And like I said earlier, Charles says it's you and me, babe. So, just with him on my side, I just feel unstoppable, powered up. And I think that's a great thing. Is
Mm,
to find
beautiful.
your individuality in your one love. And that is what we are now doing. It doesn't mean that we're attached at the hip, we're merged at the brain. It just means that we are two awesome beings that choose
Yes.
to shine together in the brightest
Hmm.
frequency
Yeah.
possible.
And that's the choice, right? That's the
Yeah.
choice we get in midlife. We can accept or we can expand. And it's easy to expand. Once you've got someone by your side that's guiding you along the path, if you're not sure which way to take it. I've worked with so many women that are in middle age that were just
Yeah.
stuck
Yeah.
and didn't know didn't even have a dream, didn't even have a vision for their future, didn't have what their purpose was and not understanding that. And so, I feel so blessed that I have the opportunity
Yeah.
to help women to
Yeah.
step into what they can be, what they can
Yes.
do, and what they can have in midlife and beyond. And so I've been given a gift and it just feels incredible because the work that I do doesn't feel like work, but it is so rewarding. And to see a transformation. And, I met with one of my clients that I've been working with for a few years. And yesterday I met with her again and she was just so grateful. And her life has just been 360 change.
See, and I love that. And those are the stories. And those are the stories that just inspire us and just
Mm.
like road signs that you are on the right path, that
Yeah.
you are doing the right thing.
Mhm.
So, wow, we could keep going on and on. You'll be back because, like I said at the beginning of the show, you're no stranger to Love Drop. So you'll absolutely be back. But in the meantime, in between time, how can our listeners, one, connect with you on your podcast, two, just connect with you for opportunities? Maybe we have some women that are in this season of life and would just like to
Mhm.
know more, hear more from Sally and work with Sally. I'll tell you, it is definitely a beautiful journey to
Mhm.
do life with Sally. And I'm just blessed that I get to have you, my dear, as a really close friend. So, how can our listeners connect with you, Sally?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on your podcast again. And likewise for you, it's been such a great experience to get to know you and Charles and to watch your adventures and be a part of your world. And I just feel blessed to have had that connection because we're definitely soul connected in some way, shape,
Oh,
or form.
yes.
And the best way to connect with me on my podcast, it is called Limitless in Midlife. You can find it on YouTube, you can find it on Spotify. You can follow me on all of the major platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook are the main ones that and Pinterest are the ones that I'm on. But the best way to find me and the best way to connect right now is through my website. It's my name, Sally Arkell Boles. And on there is something that I offer as a free opportunity for women to come in to connect. And it's called the No More Excuses Midlife Audit. So it's designed to allow you to just talk to me about the 10 different categories that are important that I believe are important for us as women in midlife. And just rate yourself on where you are on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being like off the charts, I am so engaged with this, or this is flowing so well. And just be able to actually have someone else help you to discover where some of those opportunities are for you to expand. And it's not designed as a sales call. It's not designed as anything else. It's designed to just give you that exposure to where are the gaps in your life that you're wanting to change, and just having someone neutral there to be able to share that with. So it's called the No More Excuses Midlife Audit, because I see so many women giving excuses today of not taking control of their midlife. And so I've chosen to just do that for a little bit of fun. But that's also on my website, Sally Arkell Boles. So yeah, reach out, and you can easily find me on there. And from there, that audit we will do on a Zoom and be able to connect and get to know each other.
Awesome. And I'll put those links in the narrative, particularly just your website, because you can
Yep.
connect with all the other links right off your website.
Absolutely.
And I would like people to come and check out your website so they could get a feel, see that Sally vibe, right? And yeah, so
The podcast and my blog are also up on there on a weekly basis as well. So you can find everything on that one platform.
awesome. So that is what I'll put that link in there. And so, as I often do, or as we often do, what is a love drop that you'd like to leave for women that are living in their midlife season of life to be unlimited? So, what's that love drop you like to leave?
The love drop I would like to leave is to let women know in midlife that they are beautiful inside and out. And they've achieved so much in their lives, regardless of whether they think they have. Just being in our lives, creating the life that we've chosen, and allowing them to just accept that they are perfect the way they are.
Yes.
You are perfect. We all are perfect the way we are. We take other people's judgments, or we judge ourselves based off of past paradigms, but that's the past.
Yes.
Today you're beautiful. Today you're healthy. Today you're loved.
Yes.
And to me, when we start living in the moment, we're grateful for all of that, and we appreciate ourselves first. Just look in the mirror and tell yourself you love you. Look in your own eyes, and I guarantee you'll start to believe that you're the beautiful soul that you were meant to be on this planet.
That is lovely. Thank you. Thank you for that. I felt that. I felt that.
Okay.
I'm feeling pretty beautiful. So I'm going
You
to take
are
my
gorgeous.
beautiful self. Thank you. You are
Beautiful
too.
inside and out, right? That's what we want to
You
feel
are
as women.
too. You are too, Sally. I just want to thank you for being on the podcast once again. I look forward to having you back in the future. And until next time, as we always say, thanks for listening in to Love Drop Podcast. Subscribe and share if that is what you are led to do, or just keep listening or not. Just whatever feels right for you, however the love resonates for you, do that today. And we thank you for listening in. And until next time, we say one love.
Never a second will I waste. Never an opportunity to taste the sweetness of this life.
Thank you for tuning in to the Love Drops podcast.
Follow the challenge.
Be sure to follow this podcast and share the love with everyone you know. Until next time, this is Charles and Diane signing off. One love.
Love it conquers all, whether big or small. Love never fails. Oh, love it conquers all. Love never